In this episode, we are going to speak with Dana Obleman, who is going to give us all the details about a very unique type of coaching business where you can earn as much as $500,000 a year by being a baby sleep coach. So stay tuned.
If you want to build a legitimate, profitable online business without shiny objects, without the hypey gimmicks, and without the stress and overwhelm, if you want to make more money without having to be present online all day, every day, pumping out content that nobody sees and hustling DMs to generate leads and sales, then this is the place for you. Welcome to the Digital Trailblazer Podcast, your online business university, where you'll learn how ordinary people start from ground zero with no influence, no email list or audience to sell to, and no business or marketing experience, and go from working 9-to-5 jobs to building successful 6- and 7-figure online businesses and all the steps in between. Learn the strategies that worked and what didn't. Learn the mistakes that they made and how to avoid them, and then learn their plans for scaling their businesses and taking things to the next level. All so that you can build your business faster and easier and make more money without sacrificing the things that are important to you in your life. I'm your host, Leah Ray Getz, and with me is my husband, Todd. Now, let's get to it with today's guest.
Welcome, everybody, to the Digital Trailblazer Podcast. My name is Todd Getz, and with me here today is Dana Obleman. Dana, welcome. Why don't you give our audience just a quick rundown of who you are and what you do?
Sure. I'm Dana, and I'm the creator of the Sleep Sense program. I had my own first son 22 years ago, and he was a terrible sleeper, which led me down to the path of trying to solve his issues, investigate how do you teach a baby to sleep well. The good news is that you can teach a baby to sleep well, and 20 years later, I both help parents get their children sleeping well, and I train others to become Sleep Sense certified consultants.
That is really interesting. I feel like this is one of those examples of something that's like a super niche thing that's in high demand, but you wouldn't normally think that if I'm going to be a coach or I'm going to make money online, that this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
This is one of those things that when I heard about it, I was like, wow, that is so unique. And then the income potential too really kind of caught my eye. So in order to become a baby, or for you personally, like, do you have any other sort of certifications or expertise in this? Like, did you have a background in nursing or teaching or anything like that? Or, what was your background?
Yeah. So I have a Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology and then a Bachelor of Education. And I was an elementary school teacher before I had my first son. So I did use some of my knowledge in psychology and what I knew about children to sort of put those pieces together for what would work for my own son. And you're right, at the time 20 years ago, nobody was really talking about sleep much at all. Nobody was working one-to-one with parents to help them figure out, how do I teach my baby to sleep well? How do I get my kids out of my bed? All of these were things you just kind of had to hope for the best or figure out on your own. And so I did. I just sort of saw a place in the parenting world that maybe was missing some support and education, and just took a leap of faith that people would be intrigued or interested in learning more about sleep, and they were. So that's good news.
Right. Yeah. When you started your business, helping others to, when you were a baby sleep coach and you're teaching others to get their babies to sleep better throughout the night, is this something where you just started locally, or were you doing things online then? How did this evolve into a business like you have now?
Yeah, great question. So no, I worked privately with people. I worked all around the lower mainland of Vancouver. I went to people's homes and worked with them one-to-one. And I did that for a couple of years. And at the same time, my husband was working for a company called the Internet Marketing Company. It doesn't even exist anymore. But at the time, they were doing ebooks. That was kind of like the new up and coming thing to sell online. And so my husband thought, what if we took your knowledge that you've gained in the last few years of working with families and turned that into more of like an online program, like an ebook style education. And again, we just kind of took a leap of faith that might work, and it did work. So that's how it evolved into an online program.
Wow. Did you promote that with paid ads, or how did you sell that?
Yeah, that was all Google. That was Google Ads. Pretty much our bread and butter was solely that for quite a few years.
I know a lot of other people that back then, yeah, it was all Google Ads, and it was like print. I shouldn't say that, but it was like printing money for a lot of
It
people.
was, it
Yeah.
was, it was so, yeah, it was really exciting for us because we were learning as we went. He had some expertise just working for that company, but he was the copywriter at that company. So we were just kind of figuring things out as we went along. But you're right, it was really exciting to just like wake up in the morning and see that we'd made sales all the way through the night.
Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the Google slap happened. And now I think a lot of people are probably doing Facebook, Instagram ads. And the nice thing about now, like for the longest time, it was like Facebook or nothing, right? And now I think we have access to so many other ad platforms, TikTok, YouTube, there's so many other places where we can go. I think there's just so much opportunity for something like this. Now, one of the questions that kind of pops into my mind right away is who would actually pay to have somebody come and teach their baby how to sleep? Right away in my mind, it's like, okay, how big is the market for something like this?
I mean, the very first thing that any parent says in any kind of a setting is usually like, how's your baby sleeping? It's a very hot topic. It tends to be something that parents struggle with at some point of the parenting journey. Maybe it's right in infancy, or maybe it shows up later in the toddler years or even the school age years. But very few parents get away with a child who sleeps beautifully, like from birth onwards. So it's a common problem. And it's a painful problem. If somebody else is waking you up repeatedly for months or even years on end, and somebody came along and said, hey, you know what? I have a solution to this really painful problem you have. You'd be like, okay, sign me up.
Yeah, and I can think, because one of my kids, my older son, was like that. Just couldn't even keep him in the crib. He's an escape artist, and he would find, and loud, and he's still loud. But yeah, very fussy. Now, our second kid he was like the perfect, like he was so silent. He was like a ninja, never made a sound, almost never cried, slept through the night. And we needed that after the first one. But yeah, for the first kid, I could definitely see why we would look for, a solution like that. And we had no idea that even existed. And so now in your business, you teach other people how to be sleep coaches. Is that right?
I do. We started that about 5 years into my career. A lot of my clients were asking me, I want to do this too. Is there a way you could teach me? And that kind of led us into going down the certification model road. And we've been doing that for about 15 years now. And yeah, I've coached close to 1,000 women so far, but we're open to fathers too, become Sleep Sense consultants all around the world.
Who typically makes a good Sleep Sense consultant? Who would be a good fit for becoming a baby sleep coach?
Yeah, it's usually people sort of in the helping profession or having like a passion to help others. It's often people who've gone through the experience themselves. So they've worked with a consultant, or they've purchased the Sleep Sense program online. So they know how it feels to be sleep deprived and desperate. And then they also know what lives on the other side of that, and having a baby that sleeps well, and how powerful and transformational that is for their family. So it's typically, those are sort of our ideal clients for becoming sleep coaches. But it's also people looking for change. A lot of mothers in the corporate world are looking for a better work-life balance. They're tired of working 10-hour days and barely seeing their children, and they want a way to make a good income, but have like more flexibility.
Do you get a lot of empty nesters too? Because in my mind, it seems like that might be something where you had kids and your whole life was kind of revolving around them, and then suddenly they're gone and you're trying to figure out that next phase in life. Do you get a lot of those or not?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say a lot, but I would say that's maybe a third of our consultants are people who have raised their children already and are maybe looking for, like, not retirement yet, but sort of scaling back on whatever their full-time career was, and looking for meaningful work with a good income at like create your own hours kind of a job.
When you get a client, like, number one, do you teach them how much to charge? Is everybody charging the same amount, or are they charging different amounts? Or how do you decide how much you're charging for a client?
Yes. I mean, I'm not legally allowed to demand people charge certain amounts. We do give some guidelines around that. Like, this is what most of our consultants are charging. This is the ballpark of where the price point should lie. And a lot of my consultants sell various packages. So a basic package might start around $300 or $400, and then they can go all the way up to $1,500, even $2,000 a package. And that would include a lot more like in-house support. So they would be there with the family, maybe through half of the night or for the whole night helping out. But yeah, that's kind of the range of earning potential per client.
Okay. And then how long are you typically working with a client for that amount of money?
It's about 2 to 3 weeks. Again, that can differ. Our older children that we work with, they sort of, those deeper problems fade a little slower. So that might be like 3 or 4 weeks worth of support, but our more basic packages are about 2 weeks.
Okay. And now you mentioned older kids. So what's the age range of babies or children that you typically work with?
We work right from newborn to age 12.
Wow, 12?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you're working with an older kid, is it typically the same issues that babies are having as far as sleep, or are there different issues that you're dealing with?
I mean, at the heart of it, it's the same issue. I mean, sleep has to be an independent skill that is mastered at some point, right? So these kids tend to be really dependent on something external. It might have been feeding when they were little, and then maybe it became rocking when they were toddlers. And it usually transforms into like parent contact. So making a parent lay down with them in order for sleep to come, and then waking multiple times a night to have that same experience again, either coming to the parents' bed or asking the parents to come back to their bed. So they haven't really ever developed a sense of ownership over their own sleep skills, or the confidence level's really low. And anxiety is playing a huge role in these older kiddos as well.
As far as marketing your services, do you find that you're niching down even further to specialize in like maybe an age group or different types of conditions that they may have, whether it's ADHD or something like that? Or do you just kind of market yourself as just a sleep coach?
Yeah. I mean, it's really grown as a profession. In the last 10 years, it's just really exploded. And so now there is some more competition. It's becoming a little more challenging to get in front of your ideal client. And so that has been a strategy for a lot of my consultants. Some are specializing in just toddlers. Some are focusing on twins or multiples. Others are really into the newborn phase. Some of our consultants work with children who have special needs exclusively. So yeah, they have kind of found a deeper niche within it to really highlight how they stand out.
Okay. And I assume that those different niches would have different price points and things like that.
Yeah, their prices are going to be about the same as all of our consultants. They're just focusing on like, I only work with, twins, or I only work with toddlers.
Okay.
Or older kids.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, as far as, whether you're doing this full-time or part-time, I know that you mentioned like for your full-time coaches, they can earn up to $500,000 a year doing this. How busy is your schedule if you're doing that?
So those consultants, my top earners, they've grown a team. So they started out just doing it solo, working with clients. But you're right, you're going to hit, you only have so much bandwidth for actual face-to-face client work. Like there's only so many hours in a day for that. So they get to a place where they're feeling really busy, kind of stretched. And then they bring on another consultant, and she takes some of the workload, and then maybe they bring on another one. And so my top earner, she's got about 10 or 11 consultants at work within her company.
Wow. Okay. Nice. So you can really turn this into a big business. This isn't just a solopreneur thing. This is something you can really grow if you want.
If you want to, yeah, I'm here for it. So yeah.
Okay. The other thing that people are probably wondering about is, what if you only want to do this part-time? You've got a full-time job and you're looking to bring in some extra income. Can you do it that way? Or do you need to be kind of available multiple days a week, like during work days and everything else? Like, how does that fit into somebody's schedule if they've got a full-time or part-time job?
Yeah, I would say about 85% of our consultants are exactly in that boat. They already have a full-time job. Yep. I mean, very few people are in a position where they could quit a full-time job to start a business. I mean, there's going to be some lag time there where you're not really earning. And most people don't have like the nest egg to keep them floating while they grow their business. So yeah, most of my consultants are doing this as a side hustle until they get to a place where they can maybe either go part-time at their day job or give it up altogether. I'm seeing it takes about a year really to get it to a place where clients are coming a little more organically. You're getting word of mouth exposure from the clients you've worked with to get to a place where you feel pretty confident that if you had more time, you could get it to where you want it. Everybody's doing it.
Yeah. Okay. So, wow, that's interesting. So the people who are doing this part-time, when they bring on a new client, are they working with, and I suppose if it's a 2-week program, how many days a week are you working with that client?
Yeah, so it's spaced out. The biggest chunk of the whole package is the actual consultation, and that's where you would meet with the parents, talk about why their baby's not sleeping well, how we're going to make change, and what that's going to look like to go forward. So once they fully understand what's involved in the plan and how we're going to do this, then the rest of it is the follow-up support. So you're checking in with your clients every couple of days, either on Zoom or FaceTime or just old-fashioned phone calls, to see how they're doing, what questions they have. Is the plan going according to plan, or do we need to make changes along the way?
Gotcha. Okay. So that seems very manageable if you're just doing that on a nightly basis. Now, as far as earning potential doing this part-time, what do you typically see your part-timers making? Like what's possible for someone who's doing this just in addition to a full-time job?
Yeah, I would say most of my part-timers are looking for between 20 to 30 annually. That would be what we would consider part-time. I mean, even full-time hours, like I would say my consultants who are calling themselves full-time are usually just working school hours. So like what's that, 8:30 to 3:30 kind of thing. I've never felt like it's not a 9 to 5 full-time job. It's much less hours for the same kind of earning potential.
Yeah, and when I think about that, working part-time and bringing in another $20,000 or $30,000 a year, I used to work as a teacher. That would almost double my salary. That's a new teacher when I was working, and that's not anything to sneeze at. That's nice. Yeah, and I can see if you're doing that at some point, why not just do that full-time, right? Now, as far as getting clients, because here's the thing, like there's a lot of programs that teach you how to put a coaching program together or how to put something together, but they don't necessarily teach you that second part of how to actually get clients and make money. This is something that you actually help people with, isn't it?
Yes, that's part. I mean, I fell into entrepreneurship, but I discovered a second passion. I love sleep so much, but I also really love entrepreneurship. And so I think it's really important to have that as part of your course, because they could be the best sleep consultant in the world, but if they don't know how to get in front of their customers, then nobody gets to experience their gifts, right? So yeah, we do teach that. We talk a lot about it on a monthly basis as well.
Okay, gotcha. So, and before I go into this, how long does it take to get your certification to learn how to do this?
So it's a work at your own pace certification. I'm seeing most of my students do it in about 3 to 4 months. Some sooner, some a little longer. It just depends what their goals are and how quickly they want to get started.
Okay, gotcha. So 3 to 4 months. And then as far as getting your first clients, what do you teach your new coaches as far as what should you be doing to get your first clients?
Yeah. So they have to have 3 clients in order to graduate. That's part of the practicum experience that they need to acquire. And I always say, like, the easiest place to start is your own backyard, right? Like, let's start with that low-hanging fruit. Most of my consultants are mothers themselves. So go to your own friend group, go to the baby classes, go to your WhatsApp group or your Facebook mommy group and start there and just sort of say, like, this is something exciting I'm doing. I'm looking for clients. If you know anyone who has kids that aren't sleeping well, send them my direction. So that's a pretty easy way to just get the ball rolling with those first few clients. And then the greatest part about this job is that it's such a sort of an intimate relationship you have with your clients. They get to really know you and trust you, that when you solve the problem for them, they go and they're singing it on the mountain. They're telling everybody, they're telling, anybody that they know that has kids about the great work that you're doing. So word of mouth takes off pretty quickly in this industry. That's your bread and butter. That's, as soon as you've got enough word of mouth going, that kind of takes a lot of the marketing workload off your plate right there.
Nice. Okay. And then, because I remember earlier you were saying that it takes about a year to kind of get that word of mouth going where referrals are coming in on a regular basis. So is that mostly passive? Like, are your coaches getting their clients mostly passively like that?
Yes. I would say probably 60 to 70% of new clients are coming from referrals directly. I also teach them how to make referral partnerships with other people in the baby business. I promote like doing online webinars, doing free webinars as a way to get people in the door. We talk about Instagram and Facebook and how to market well there and get sales conversations started. So yeah, we kind of come at it from all the different angles. And some people are better at certain things than others. And it takes a little bit of trial and error to find like what your sweet spot is as far as marketing goes. But it's a pretty active community where we share a lot of great ideas.
Yeah, nice. I like that, if you're getting 60 to 70% of your clients coming in just passively through referrals and things like that, because marketing is tough. Like we often say this for anybody who's looking to build an online business is that, a lot of people think that the hard part is creating the program. And then when they quote launch, they find out that creating the program was the easy part. Getting sales and doing the marketing and all that, that's the hard part. And so the fact that we can build this up to a point where after a year, 60 to 70% is coming, if your clients are coming in organically like that, that is nice. I like that. But then you also teach some of the other marketing things as far as, content creation, doing webinars. I guess, so here's the other question. So if we're doing things online, can you work with people purely online with something like this?
You can. Yeah. Again, I would say about at least 50% of the client load is remote. So it's just working on Zoom with people, FaceTime, text messages. There's so many great ways now to communicate with people that it doesn't seem to hurt the relationship or it doesn't seem to diminish the results to work online with people.
Nice. Okay. Like I said, that makes it so much easier. When me and my wife started our online business, we were living 40 miles east of Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're on an 80-acre farm. We were out in the middle of nowhere. And so starting a business like this would have been like, okay, well, we know like 5 neighbors. They're quite a ways away, because everybody's got farms. So even if you're living kind of in a place where there's not a large local community, this is something you could just do online if you wanted and get clients. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I have lots of people in small towns that are doing well, just finding clients from anywhere, really. It's just a really rewarding career. It's a career where you're constantly being praised for how you've transformed people's lives, how you've saved marriages, how you've really improved the quality of people's lives in a pretty meaningful way. So I love that is part of the perk of doing this work.
So I know that, another thing, whenever somebody's starting a business, there's always costs involved in running the business and things like that. And so, I know like for me in my business, even just the tools I need, the software and things like that, there's a monthly fee that I have to pay. And it used to be a lot more. I used to pay like $1,700 a month just for the software we needed to run our business. We've brought that down now to about $300 to $500 a month. But for a business like this, if you're a baby sleep coach, what are the ongoing costs to keep a business like this going?
Yeah. Well, first of all, the certification fee. So to become a Sleep Sense consultant is a $5,100 investment. And then after that, you need to get a website. So we have someone we've vetted who will do that for them at a very cost-effective price, but they might want to, look elsewhere for a website build. There is an app that a lot of my consultants use. It's called the Rested app, and that's a way to communicate with clients within an app. So I think that's a $29 a month investment for that app. And then with my certification, after you've been with me for a year, you can either stay in the Sleep Sense community or you can go it alone. If you stay, then that has a monthly fee. That's $83 a month fee or a $39 a month fee when you reach your 100 client goal. So that's kind of an ongoing expense that people would have to factor in. But other than that, it's a pretty low overhead kind of career because you can do it from home.
Basically, just a fraction of one. So as long as you're getting one client a month, you're paying your costs and you're making some money on top of that. So yeah, that's nice. You can't complain about that.
Right.
Dana, this is such an interesting thing. And I know that there's probably people wondering where they can get more information about this. If people want to know more about what it is that you're doing and maybe how to get involved, where can they go?
Yeah, they can check out my website, which is sleepsense.net.
And you also have a freebie for our audience today too, don't
Yes,
you?
I have my Safe Sleep Bundle, which is going to give you all you need to create a perfect environment for great sleep.
Awesome. All right. So if you've got kids or babies that need help sleeping, I assume that's going to be a great resource for them. Dana, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. This is really interesting. I love seeing new things that people are doing to be able to make money online and retire from their jobs. And I think this is a great option for people. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Yeah, my pleasure. It was fun.
You've been listening to the Digital Trailblazer podcast. For show notes and information about today's guest, head to digitaltrailblazer.com. Now, if you love this episode, if you got some value, make sure you leave us a review and subscribe. And be sure to share this episode with anyone you know who could use help to build their business. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.